The Panthers get the ball out of halftime, and they go nowhere. 4 plays, minus 5 yards. So they get nothing out of it, 3 and out. The Broncos get the ball, and in 4 plays, they actually score a touchdown. Now, I'm going to play the first of the 2 KJ Hamler touchdowns. There's only 2 catches. There was a lot of really cool things that happened on this. So let's play the highlight, and then we'll talk about it.
Blitz in the way, lock in the pocket, loads it up. Home run ball. He's got a receiver wide open. Catch it to 5. Touchdown, Denver. That is KJ Hamler. 37-yard reception. Hamler ran right by the defensive back. In this case, that was Rasul Douglas.
So let me very quickly talk about this drive. Drew Lock, short right to Jerry Jeudy for 11 yards. Melvin Gordon, right tackle for 15 yards. They were getting big chunk plays. Phillip Lindsay went up the middle, didn't really get much. 2nd and 10, they dial this up. Now, there's a couple of things, like I think you can point out, and a lot of people pointed out the hand gesture he did to KJ Hamler to basically send him on the go. But I don't think a lot of people are giving credit to Royce Freeman, who was in pass pro behind, and he basically sealed things off. Like, if Royce Freeman doesn't get there, there's a rusher coming full speed. And Royce Freeman gave up his body to stop that dude from even touching Drew Lock. If that guy even gets close to Drew Lock, I don't know if Drew Lock has enough basically power to get the ball down the field, because that guy was coming at full steam. So give it up to Royce Freeman for putting his body on the line to stop that.
Royce has not had many snaps over the last couple of weeks. But every time he's been out there, he's been impactful. And I've been talking about it nonstop. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see him get the ball a little more as well. So good to see him out there doing the little things.
But then what Drew Lock did pre-snap and basically almost immediately after the snap is he held the safety with his eyes.
Yep.
And our guy Tim Jenkins did a really good job breaking this down. He held the safety with his eyes, basically seeming like he was going to basically hit somebody across the middle. He was kind of watching him there. And then he went up top within a heartbeat as if he had seen it the play the whole time.
You see the corner slip on the play a little bit, too. The main thing about that play is you recognize from the snap that the safety doesn't have the recovery distance to be able to get over there and get there. And that's something you notice. So all you have to do is, like you just said, freeze the safety with your eyes. If you get him for one beat, as soon as your guy gets around, because it's an outside release, as soon as he gets that release, you lay the ball up into the outside, you're good to go. Now, Locke's placement on that wasn't ideal, a little to the inside where it should have been, but he'll learn from that. At least he's getting the concepts right.
But is that not why KJ Hamler was here?
Well, that's exactly why he's here, and it's exactly why both those guys are here.
Yes.
To make that play, make that read, make that throw. And, I just want to see Drew Lock, putting the ball in the right spot now. Now that he's identifying the concept and the coverage correctly, I want to see him make the correct throw.
Of course. And those things will definitely come with time, more time with the players, more time in the scheme. But like I said, that's what we've been asking for. Another part of this offense is having a guy that's going to take the top off the defense. KJ Hamler only caught 2 passes in this game. But you don't think the Buffalo Bills and then subsequent teams are going to have to pay attention to KJ Hamler running go routes now?
Now you do.
It's going to open everything else up underneath.
Right, and that really does. It'll help stress, keep the safeties back. It'll open up that little pocket along the sidelines a little bit, too, in the coming game because they run a cover, too.
All right, you're up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play the sound, and then I'll get to why this is important because it may not seem important at first. So let's play this one and we'll get to it.
Lock play fakes, throws it to Patrick at the 2. Patrick dives into the end zone, actually walks into the end zone, and Denver has a touchdown. Same play that we saw last week in Kansas City. As Patrick comes behind the line of scrimmage, set up as an offset fullback. He was more open in Kansas City, but a good throw there by Drew Lock, and the Broncos now have the touchdown. Lock to Patrick from 2 yards out.
Why is that important? Because Drew Lock and throwing the ball inside of the 10-yard line has been spectacularly bad throughout his career. There's compressed throwing windows in there. It's tough to do. Everything's got to be quicker. Every decision that you make has to be quicker. You got to see it, you got to be able to, and you got to sling it. You got to do it faster. Compressed windows, fast DBs, everybody's going to jump on everything. And that's 2 weeks in a row we've seen Drew Lock make good passes down there inside the 10-yard line where everything's compressed and you've got to make those fast decisions. And he's made the right decision rather than throwing an interception there to take points off the board at the end of the half. And I think that continues to show what we've been talking about over the last 3 games, a growth and maturity out of Drew Lock as this thing starts to come together for him.
They're becoming more efficient in the red zone.
They are.
Which is something that, again, over the course of the season, and sometimes I blanch a little bit at the season-long numbers because, certainly Drew Lock and the offense haven't been very good this year. Drew Lock's numbers are relatively bad compared to other quarterbacks that have had as many snaps. But there's also a little bit of nuance here. There's a little bit of trajectory. And even his most ardent critics will say there's a little bit more nuance to talking about what Drew Lock has been in the last few games versus what he was at the beginning of the season or even in the middle of the season, when it did seem like he struggled to find consistency, whether it was short passes or long passes. He just didn't have anything that really was working well for him, even other than just throwing it deep and hoping. But that didn't seem like this game. This game seemed a lot more controlled. This game seemed like he was in more control. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing that he can build on, and certainly he looked like he had a lot more confidence. All right, I'm going to get to the other KJ Hamler touchdown. I thought not only was this a cool moment because they had scouted this and scouted Carolina for this play, so they had this kind of dialed up and ready to go at a moment's notice, but it was also in the timing of the game because the Panthers had just pulled within 5. They had a field goal. They pulled within 5. We're about 5 minutes or so left in the fourth quarter. So at this point, I think most people sort of assumed the Broncos would be just trying to run the ball. They'd be trying to kill some clock, play it safe. You're up by 5. They need a touchdown to go ahead of you. But instead, the Broncos get pretty aggressive. Drew Lock, he gets a scramble. Then he's a pass to Melvin Gordon for 20 yards on a sort of pseudo screen. And then he hits KJ Hamler for this touchdown. But the beauty of it was all about what the safety did reacting to Jerry Jeudy underneath on the end route. And if the safety bit on that, then they were going up top. But if the safety stayed back and stayed with Hamler, then they were going to go with Jerry Jeudy, who's going to get like 20-plus yards. So it was an aggressive play call either way, which I love in that moment because you're going to put yourself in field goal range just by the play call itself. Give yourself to get at least to 8 points, and that's something that's very impressive to me. But they scouted this out, and they said the safety's super aggressive. If he comes down on Jerry Jeudy on the in route, then it's very easy for us to make the decision, and that's ultimately what the Broncos did. They went to KJ Hamler over the top.
Shotgun snap, play fake. Pressure now, Lock stands in the pocket tall, throws one down the field. He's got an open receiver. Catch made into the end zone. Touchdown, KJ Hamler. 49 yards, Lock to Hamler for the second time today. Drew Lock's 4th touchdown pass of the game, which would represent a career high in his young career.
Yeah, he looks sharp out there. It was a good play, and you called it exactly like it is. It's a keyed read. You know what's coming with the safety, and it's basically just it's a different type of option play to make it, put it in layman's terms. You're looking at the safety, and you're looking to see what he does, and your entire decision is based off that.
But how many times have we seen Drew Lock either force a pass in there?
He's starting to make reads. He's starting to see the field, and that's what we've been harping on the last 3 weeks. Hey, this thing's starting to come together. I say 3 weeks, 4 weeks because the New Orleans game was in there, but the Miami game, the Kansas City game, and now the Carolina game, and there are moments in there that are head scratchers. The Tyrann Mathieu, the first interception. Now the second one, they were trying to come back, whatever. But the first one, the Vanette not dumping it off to Vanette, huge head scratcher, huge facepalm. And there are still going to be moments of that as he continues to grow, but they're fewer and far between, and he's starting to see it. He's starting to get it. It's starting to come together.